Hello, everybody. Reed here. Today, we're going to have a very interesting conversation about Erika again. Yep, Erika Kirk. As a psychiatrist, this whole podcast is Reed Matrix, and all I do is talk about narcissist, psychopath, and sociopath. And look at this, just popped on my lap. Erika. And let me tell you, Erika's one of the best I've ever seen. I mean, she's doing the most. I mean, I've treated these type of people, dealt with them and stuff like that, but Erika is in a category of her own. Why? First person I know of to agree to a public execution of a husband and then witness it in the shadow, present there at the execution, but hidden in the shadows. So nobody knows she's there. You have to figure out she's there through deduction, right? So she's on the phone with Mikey. Mikey got in his hand, and Mikey is like this, listening, right? They're listening to him, right? So they called first, and then they decided to listen. During that moment, Erika's on the phone and she's listening. Then she's also attending the execution, and she's attending it virtually. Now, notice that she was a part of the audience is when Mikey walked away. He immediately put the phone up to her and walked away. And neither one of them knew that Kirk was dead at that point. He could have just been injured or the shot could have missed. So as the wife, you could have gone back and, hey, what happened? What, is he okay? But no, Mikey just said he shot and they left. And then she said she tried to get to him. But if she didn't know that he was dead, then why didn't she try to talk to him on the phone? So their stories are not adding up, right? Why? Because I've told you millions of times, the first thing you should do when you get around a narc is start recording. Because the schemes that they play, you can't recognize them in the moment. But when you go back and reel the tape, you'll see exactly what they've done. And this is what we're seeing right now, the value of recording knocks constantly. If you're not recording a knock, you're putting yourself in danger because they're recording you, right? So this episode is Erika Kirk is trying to put us in the Truman Show. And let me show you see if I can show you what the Truman Show is. The Truman Show was a movie with Jim Carrey, and this Hollywood production company created a small town, which was a movie set, and they adopted a baby. And the baby grew up on the movie set thinking it was real. So the baby would go to the bank and think it's a real bank, but it wasn't a bank. It was just a facade of the bank and actors behind it. You know, he would go to the hotel, he'd go so it was a facade around everything, but there was no substance behind everything. And and you have to really see this movie. It's an amazing this is an amazing movie. I don't want to get into, let me show you this. Okay. And so here's the Truman Show. Here's Jim Carrey. And I don't want to get into any copyright issues, but basically everybody around him was lying to him. And so when I'm saying that Charlie was in the Truman Show, meaning all the people who drove him, who handled him, who engaged with him, who were talking behind his back, they all gave him one reality that he was safe, but really he was doing his walk of death. But they made him feel that he was just going to another rally. See, so what Erika is trying to do now is this rabbit hole that they've created. They're trying to get everyone a detour down that rabbit hole. And there's a lot of dangers associated with you believing things that are not true, or you making judgments or behaving or making plans based upon things that are not true. If it's not true, then all of those plans are going to fail. And this is the problem with this type of behavior that Erika is exhibiting. So she's trying to place everyone in the Truman Show by making everyone believe that she didn't do exactly what everybody saw she did, right? And it's going to be interesting to see how the messaging, how they're going to fight back and forth with this. But I just wanted to sort of review a few interesting things that I wanted to sort of point out with Erika. So here's, I felt a YouTube show. Let me just show you. Let me see here. Something interesting she's pointing out that.
I'm going to go over to the Cultural Power podcast of Erika Kirk pushing back against conspiracy theories around the assassination of her husband. As far as thanks to Colin Bell, who says, quote, breaking, Erika Kirk absolutely eviscerates people pushing conspiracy theories about Charlie Kirk's death. Erika called out people who are demanding to know where Charlie is buried and claiming TPUSA was somehow involved in Charlie's death. And her most memorable quote is her saying, you know what I thought? I thought people were human. Which this is also credited to Fox News, which is somehow still in business. I have no idea how. But this is Erika Kirk on Fox News.
From the perspective of a grieving widow, a mom, and a battle-tested American. Good to see you again today. Talk to me about this.
Okay, let me just give you an idea of what I'm trying to explain here. Okay, you have your reality, and if you want to remain safe, you have to stay in your reality, right? If someone makes up a story to cover up for what they did, and they try to make you believe that, if you believe that and start living your life as if that's the truth, the plans you make, when you make those plans in that rabbit hole, you still have to carry the plan out in reality, even though you believe you're someplace else. So none of the plans that are developed in outside of reality will ever work for you. And this is why you can never make any progress, right? Remember, you try and try, and then all of a sudden there's a feeling that if you tried any more, this may be the last break. You may break if you try it again, and you fear getting to that point again because that grind is unrelentless. You have to get up tomorrow and go through the same relentless bullshit again, right? So I'm trying to help you understand, when you're listening to narcissists, psychopaths, or sociopath, you have to listen to what they say. And if you capture what they say, then you understand I can't go down that rabbit hole, because if I do, there's going to be disaster for me, because you cannot make sustainable profits within delusional systems or illusions. The profits are only stable in reality. So you build a business based upon the features of reality, not based upon the manifold details of the description that someone's trying to sell you, right? There's a difference between the two. Now, when you talk to narcissists, psychopaths, and sociopaths, they can only look at things from their perspective only. So when they talk about themselves, they're eloquent, they're fluent, they have the cognitive flexibility. They can really engage with you in a way that you will leave them understanding that they have a lot of confidence and that they really understand themselves well, right? You can have you can always have a mature conversation with a narcissist about themselves, and hey, yeah, relax. Now we're talking about me. Okay, it's time for my interview now, and I'll go ahead and cooperate, right? And I'll be as verbal as I can, right? However, when you try to get the same narcissist to describe someone else's experience or the same situation from someone else's perspective, then they become incompetent. So let me just understand. So for example, Erika seems to be invested in Erika's world, and every time I hear her describe Charlie's world, it's always in an idealistic manner. not as if he was actually human. And then why? Because she seems to have never been engaged in his world, where she cannot describe him as a competent human being with a full set of traits, including flaws, right? It's always the idealized version of him. Why? Because she really didn't know him in the first place. And when you look at the people she's around, they tend to have the same characteristics. So I wanted to show you the talk show here, The Black Woman, right? Because somehow who's ever behind all of this is going to have to enlist Black women and Black girls in this perspective too. And they use some of the worst Black women as representatives to do that. But there's a commonality between the Black women they use, like her, and then later you'll see Nicki Minaj, is that they do the same thing. When they talk about any of the other objects outside of themselves, it's always idealized. Now listen to it again. And these are not real descriptions of the person they're describing outside of themselves. And this shows you the borderline of their ego functioning. They're competent when there's internal reflection, when they're the center of the world. When they're out the center of the world, they have to actually pick a character, and then they play the script along the character. And these people are stuck in the narrative where they can only idealize the next man. They can't devalue the next man. So everyone comes off idealized, right? And so listen to how she describes Erika.
Some people are human, which this is also credited to Fox News, which is somehow still in business. I have no idea how, but this is Erika Kirk on Fox News.
From the perspective of a grieving widow, a mom, and a battle-tested American.
Now look at her presentation when her presentation when she describes Erika, meaning she describes someone outside herself, and because they're all in it together, the only option she has to show up as a character is someone who's idealizing the next man on the team, right? Watch it again, and watch her posture, and watch how dignified she does. And her and Erika sort of she's strengthening, she's supporting Erika. And look how dignified she's right? Watch.
And a battle-tested American. Good to see you again today. Talk to me from the perspective.
Here it is.
Somehow still in business. I have no idea how, but this is Erika Kirk on Fox News.
From the perspective of a grieving widow, a mom, and a battle-tested American.
Y'all see her. So there it is right there. Let me show you the next thing here. And so that's what you're listening to and things like that. Because what happens is, it's very important for you to understand that, because that narcissist you're dealing with, when they're not behind you, they don't deal with, when they bring you up, they cannot bring you up as a full individual, meaning they can't describe all the good things you're doing for them. They can't describe all the benefit, all the value, all the finances, all the resources. They can't describe any of those things that they're actually doing to you, do what you're doing for them. However, when they leave you and go to someone else and they have to describe their experience, they have to either idolize you or devalue you. That's why they always devalue you when they're not around you. Why? Because they have limited ego functioning. And when they have to describe anything outside of themselves, they only have like switches or like either idolization, devaluing, or they're coming in as the sexual villain, or they're coming in as the hero, something all crazy like that, right? Let me show you this next video here. Okay, now here, let's see. Okay, now here, this is the video. Okay, well, I think this is his funeral. Okay, so first, this is his funeral. Okay, and then you see here the symbolism. He has the President of the United States, and let me show you here when she So let me show you here. Look at the same thing. Look at the video about the presentation is that when the narcissist walks in the room and things like that, they want to control the environment. They want to manipulate the environment as much as possible. So you get the same transference here. And here you see at Charlie's funeral and things like that, you see this sort of the same, what you're calling as you see in the rally. Let me go to this section here. I brought this up because this is when she forgives the killer. Let me check if I can find the words here. Okay, let me see. I had it, then I left it. Okay, let me see if I can start from here.
Our strength is found in God's design. And show them now.
Okay. So in this part of it, she forgives her husband's killer, right? Before he's convicted, right? And she's convinced it's him, right? But however, in this moment of her forgiveness, right? Well, first of all, she doesn't know who she's forgiven, right? Because he hasn't been convicted of the crime yet, right? But she's already forgiven the person who's accused of the crime. That's a difference. That's a difference between her forgiving the person who's accused of the crime because he really didn't commit the crime. So her offer is fake. And on the other hand, they haven't really determined who's the killer yet. And so she hasn't made an apology to forgiving that person. This is a narcissistic larger man. Their worlds are like this. So she's forgiving the person who's accused, but we know he didn't do it, right? Okay, and so while all of this is going, so that's the structure, that's the dichotomy in the language, that's the two different pathways you take when you look at the structure of the language. However, she does one more thing that's incongruent. Her affect is not congruent with the situation or the content or the environment. This is someone who's talking about forgiving. This is someone who's talking about who's in remorse. This is someone who's sad, who's looking to recover and reunite. However, the affect she gives, the look on her face is a completely different affect. She gives the same affect of the narcissist with that narcissistic stare. And they only give you that narcissistic stare when they are about to unalive you. When you cross one of these narcissist boundaries and they don't see you backing up, when they look at you, remember when she told Candace, stop, right? She said, well, what do you like to say about this? What would you suggest? What do you suggest Candace do? Stop. There it came out again. Now watch it here. That affect is very telling, and it comes out at the moment she's supposed to be feeling grief and relief because she's just let go this burden. She just let her burden go. So she's supposed to be feeling relief and peace and joy, not the narcissist, not present with the narcissist death stare. This is her she's getting worn down, and so her executive functioning skills are sort of diminishing, and so she's not able to keep her mask. It takes too much energy to keep that mask up and a fake affect to fool everyone, right? So, well, watch what she says here.
My husband, Charlie, he wanted to save young men just like the one who took his life. My husband, Charlie, he wanted to save young men, just like the one who took his life.
There it is. It's surfacing. It's surfacing there. It's surfacing there.
That young man, on the cross, our Savior said, "Father, forgive them, for they not know what they do." That young man, I forgive him.
Just look at here.
To have a home.
Let's look at it again and see if
he wanted them to have a home with Turning Point USA.
See, what happens is when you are dealing with narcissists, psychopaths, and sociopaths, okay, when they're presenting in front of you, they're only like that 1% out of the day. And they can only hold their performance up like maybe 3% out of the day. Or once they start have to hold that performance up longer, the mask start to slip and you start to see the real selves. That's why they say like familiarity breeds contempt. No, it does. It breeds contempt when you're dealing with sick people. Right. And so notice at times her emotions sway back and forth. Right. It sways back and forth. But when she gets on that death stare that all narcissists sort of have, particularly when they're targeting you, it's interesting that it comes up in this moment, but then she covers it up. And then towards the end, there's more of a dramatic performance that you see.
And when he went onto campus, he was looking to show them a better path. He wanted to save young men.
It's surfacing much.
He wanted to save young men, just like the one who took his life.
Yep. So she's pinning it on him. She's pinning it on the guy who took his life. And this is whole performance. Let me see. So, if you don't mind, see if you could take a look at the Truman Show, right? I think it'd be very useful for you to know, right? And I would recommend that you don't get involved in this at all. This is very complicated. And I think you should be critical of all the actors involved, even Candace Owens and even all of these. But I think this American politics, I think there's nothing like it in the world. I think American culture, if she did participate in this, then that means that all of these things was an execution of the stage. This is very interesting stuff we're going to look at. I suggest you do not get involved, only look at this stuff. My opinions are just my opinions, and I don't care what you think, right? So if you have some opinions, put it out there. But it is interesting. And most importantly, I suggest that you don't fall for anybody's rabbit hole. Because it's going to cost you dearly. And you need to stay in reality because that's the only way you're going to make sustainable progress or profits. All right. Please feel free to like, subscribe, and share. And I'm going to continue this series on narcissism and network with Erika Kirk. And I have a few other things I want to sort of track here. And please feel to follow. Please feel free to like, share, and share. Okay, take care, guys. Read out.